So what are the ways that you can get audio to speeches? For the majority of the time, there's going to be a microphone provided. In that case, try to look for a way to plug in your recorder. So I used to have a H4n, which I had for many years, and it's absolutely perfectly fine even now to use that. Now I'm using a H5, which is, I mainly got that more for corporate jobs, just because the preamps are slightly better. But for wedding, I could have stuck with the H4n as well. I think it's fine. So if there's a DJ there, they'll pretty much know what you're talking about. You can just introduce yourself to them and say, hi, I'm doing the video for the couple. Would you mind if I could get a feed from your sound desk? Generally, they'll know what you're talking about. And yeah, you can just get a line out from them. Most of the time that I've found, I've used these phono cables. Actually, I would say about 60-70% of the time I've been using these to plug into their desk. And yeah, from there you just monitor your sound levels accordingly. You can have, on the H4 and the H5, you can have two separate levels that are going, so you could have one lower and one higher, again just for peaking, and that's sorted. You just monitor it every now and again, and you should have a, you know, as long as you're listening through your headphones, you should have a good level. The other connection that I would use a lot of the time is XLR connection, so always have one of these with you. Third one is this jack connection as well. This I've actually just got, instead of having a separate wire, I've just got this connector, so it's like an XLR 3-pin connection to this jack connection there, and yeah, that just clips on like that, and then so I have one extra, and it just saves me a bit more space in the bag. So it's basically two wires plus this little connector for jack, and that's all I need in terms of wires. So another way that you can plug in is through the back of the speaker. So sometimes the DJ might just say, oh, okay, you can plug in, because the speakers nowadays, they're very high-tech, professional, so you can take a good recording just from taking it out of the back of the speaker, which would be again through the same connections, either a phono connection or an XLR. So you can take a line out from the back of the speaker. The only issue that I've run into in the past is when the signal has just been too hot for my recorder, which means I've got the level all the way down to 1 and it's still too high and it's getting distorted. On the H4n, for that I bought this minus 20 dB attenuator, it's called, and when I plugged that in, basically just reduced the level by minus 20 dB, which helped massively in making sure that I got a good level. Now when I've got the H5, got it built in to the recorder itself, so I don't even need this anymore. But if you have got H4n and you're having that problem where it's like the level is too hot from the board, get yourself one of these. It's an attenuator. So there's reasons why you wouldn't want to just rely just on that, having that plugged in. Firstly, okay, unlikely because you're going to be checking on it, but it could get unplugged. The DJ could unplug it because they might need to free up that output for something. That's happened to me in the past. They might turn around and say, oh look, we're not actually going to use that mic, we're going to use the PA system mic at the last second. All these things could happen at the last minute where you just don't want to be relying just on that. So you want to have backups. So one very easy backup, if they're using a microphone, is to just have a sound recorder next to a speaker. Very easy. You could have something like this draped over a speaker, set yourself to auto level or a level that you like, and then that's going to pick up a decent sound quality as well straight from the speaker.
All gathered here from far and wide to celebrate Simon and Sophie's wedding day. Thank you all so much for coming today. The one thing that has been of prime importance to these two was to give everyone a day to remember and for everyone to have a really good time, which I feel sure you will all do.
Even if you didn't want to do the mic, you could just have that H1 or some kind of recorder just facing into the speaker, and that's going to give you something as well. It's a decent backup. I have used it in the past, and yeah, if you just clean up the sound a little bit in post, it's not bad. I would say, as well as that, don't just rely on the fact that they're going to be using a microphone. There's been times that this quality that's coming out of the speakers has been so bad, it's been cutting out, all those kind of things. People have just given up on the mic completely, especially if it's a smaller wedding where they think they can just project their voice louder. They will do that. They'll just put the mic down because they don't want to be interrupted anymore and just start to give the rest of the speech without the mic.
If I turn this off, can everybody still hear me? Yes? What? You're shouting. I know I'm shouting. I'm not going to use the microphone. I'm just going to go.
As is, if that's okay.
It's your wedding night. You don't want to turn anything off.
Bounce about. Touche, sir.
In that case, if you're relying just on the sound coming out of the speaker and the line feed that you've plugged into, I mean, you're kind of screwed at that point, because doesn't happen often, but it has happened. And luckily, I've always been paranoid enough about audio to always make sure that I mic people up. And that's another thing that you should try and get into the habit of doing, is having some kind of mic on the person who's giving the speech itself. So for that, we come back to the two trusty things that I always use, which is either the Tascam DR10L. Ideally, I would like to use that all the time if I could. It's not always possible, so that's when this TX650 comes in play. And yeah, it's just about communicating, finding out who's giving toasts, speeches. You can do that even before the day, which I like to do. Ask, oh, who's giving a speech? If there's somebody else on the day who's decided they want to give a speech, okay, you have to deal with it. Generally, it's 3 people. I've found in this country, traditionally, it's always the groom, sorry, it's always the father, the bride, the groom, and then the best man, and they usually even go in that order. Now it's becoming more of a fact of the brides, they're giving more speeches, which is cool. And there's been odd occasions, obviously, where other people want to give speeches. I've had weddings where there's been 15 speeches, which of course you're relying on the DJ feed audio and also the audio coming from the speaker, because you can't mic up everyone. I would say, if you can, because audio is so important, invest in a few lav mics. You know, I've got over the years, I've now have 3 DR10Ls and a Zoom H1 with a Rode lav mic, so that's 4, and some of these TX650s as well, which are, you know, you want to have these especially for women with dresses to put them on, because you're not going to be able to really get these on. And again, they're just backups. Like I wouldn't use, if the audio coming from the DJ line feed is good, that's going to be my main source. Most of the time, my second source is always the sound coming straight from the speaker. Just have backups and just make sure that you have something on somebody giving a speech. So another audio source that I will try to incorporate in the speeches is to have a TX650 taped onto the mic itself. Very easy, just a little bit of black gaffer tape, or even Velcro if you want to use Velcro, and just stick it on. So tiny, so small. I used to do it with a H1 even, which was slightly embarrassing, and people had sort of complained, not complained, but they said, like, do we really need to have that on there? But because it's so big and bulky compared to that. But I used to even have that on there sometimes, just as a backup source, because, you know, it's important, audio. Now I've got this TX650, I don't need to worry about that H1, and yeah, you just stick that on to the microphone itself, and it's another backup audio source. And that's especially important as well, because sometimes you might not be able to plug into the DJ soundboard. So in that case, you need to have something on the mic as close to the source as possible, and that's where these come in, and they're great, and nobody ever says no to taping this onto a mic. Even the DJ is just like, yeah, it's fine, no worries. So that's cool. One little bonus tip about putting these recorders and lavs on men, especially who are wearing jackets. Always communicate with them just before the speeches and just before you're about to put it on, and ask them if they're going to be wearing their jacket during the speech, because you might be there putting this on them, and then just before the speech starts they take their jacket off because they're hot or whatever, and then you're like, oh, like, why? You can either run across and just say, like, oh, put your jacket on, or, you know, like, put the jacket on for them or something. That would be really awkward and really embarrassing. Or just ask them beforehand, communicate with them, just say, look, do you think you'll take your jacket off? If they do, if they say, yeah, I think I probably might, just say, okay, yeah, no worries. Put it up, you know, through their waistcoat, clip it onto the waistcoat, and clip this on in the back. Done, job done. And you're completely fine then. At that point, you don't have to worry. Same with this, just clip it on into the waistcoat rather than have it on the jacket, and yeah, you don't have to stress. If they're sending notes or cards to each other in the morning in the preps and they decide to read them out, it's worth just having one of these in your little pouch or in your pocket, even when you're walking around, and that's a way of you can just say to the bride or groom, can you just quickly clip this on, just so that I record audio. so small, so convenient to have on you. Nobody ever really says no to putting them on. So yeah, just have it on you when you're walking around in the morning for the preps, because you never know when something like that could happen, and you could get some really good audio there that can be used in the wedding film. Okay, so that's it. That's how I record the audio during speeches of a wedding day. Thank you very, very much for watching this video. Hopefully you got something out of it. If you did, it would be great if you could leave a like for me down below, and if there's anything else that you wanted to know or anything that you would like me to answer, then just leave a comment below and I'll be happy to do it. Thank you very, very, very much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.